let's get this started. Oh, helps if I volume on the thing. Guess we gotta have the sound from the game. Gotta hear the cicadas. Cicadas slash Higurashi. Which, for those that maybe haven't heard that, but it's Higurashi is a cicada. Right, let's go. The day of the Wachanagashi Festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. What was I doing today? None in particular. None at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a light headache, so I lay down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked her to look after Satoko. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. That would be all I'd have to deal with. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife are pro-dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute, and people had stopped looking coldly upon her even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her, so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers, and the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first, their poor relationships with the neighbors? Or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She in turn claimed that the relationships with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged their reputation. Maybe y'all are just both crappy human beings. I don't know, that are abusive towards the children in your care. I don't know. That might have something to do. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, their marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was for the fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband to access them. Though her husband would search the house for them, she'd find out he'd stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After the death, however, one of his relatives told him. Informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money, because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the dam project. His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. They had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. Ah, that would explain some things, frankly. There's someone from some financial institution revealed its existence. They appeared to adopt Satoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. Realized that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustration upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship. So if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. Even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred toward the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Satoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and even tried to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in her aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him, though, because he was still just a boy. Bore so much, he covered for his little sister by lying and maneuvering, tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Satoko and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. He passed by the street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He'd found a plain-looking desk, of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. She'd had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. He told her about the desk she'd wanted. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in it. He would always open them to check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There he laid something he'd been carrying all the time until today. It'd be very hard to find unless you specifically knew what was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m. Hey, old pal. I see you showed up again this year. Better get ready for us. You're as peppy as ever. Oh? Is she a newcomer? Uh-huh. This is Reina Ryugu. Don't underestimate her. She's good. No, I'm not. Nice to meet you. Yo, you too. Brought all kinds of prizes this year. There'll be a real battle to win. Try and take them all with you. You can. Reina tends to dote on cute stuff. Oh, which this reminds me. We have a few new redeems. Here's one. I may regret that. Yeah, that stuffed animal looks like just her type. What? Oh, so cute. I want to take it home with me. Hey, the booth isn't open yet. Whoa. Stop it, Reina. He says the booth isn't open yet. You can run him into the ground once he opens it up. Oh, it's mine. I'm taking it home. Reina lost her marbles over the stuffed animal. Everybody laughed. Everybody except Satoko. She was standing by herself some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull. Meep. What is it, Rika? For a second there, I combined Rika and Raid. Rika. Oh my. Rika walked up to Satoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up. Get your worries for today. Just have fun. Satoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change. Satoko, your evil aunt isn't around. I know that. So why don't you have fun? Nipa. Nipa. I wonder what she's going to say next. Nipa. Sorry, but I don't feel like it. Could you please leave me alone? Why aren't you smiling? Satoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt. No matter how fun the festival was, once she went home, our aunt would be there. The aunt would find something wrong with Satoko, get mad and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun, even just for today, all knowing all that? And yet the aunt wonders why perhaps people don't like her much. Satoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika. Oh, Satoko, suffering in today, will you smile? Satoko gasped. He thought that Rika might do something to help. Wait. This is because Rika knows who Because Rika knows who all the victims are beforehand. However she does it. Because we learned she said that, like, before the events even started or whatever, like she somehow knew. Who and how. Which was like 5 years before the... Yeah, basically would have been 5 years before the actual... How most of the events happened. Soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Did her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Satoko knew there was really nothing Rika could do. So, after just one moment of freedom, Satoko fell into depression again. Rika, don't give me false hopes. Satoko. Rika's voice was clearer than Satoko had ever heard before. It's already been decided. She knows. Yes, I was right. It was because it's the thing. She said the thing. Not Nipa, the other thing. June 20th, 1982. 8:11 p.m. Satoshi snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 p.m. After the Watanagashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. But there were two types of people in Hinamizawa. The people who go at home for dinner, the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbors in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody on the streets. That night, the small village seemed especially desolate. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he would keep worrying until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted, but started running without hesitation. He felt as though he'd become a wild animal, running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Not only his running ability, his vision, his hearing, and his sense of smell. All his sensors were keener, including his sixth sense. He could almost sense the presence of people in this distance, only when crouching like an animal. It felt strange, as though he had stepped into another world. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear. Now he felt as though he had metamorphosed into another I think it's metamorphosized, not morphosed. Not sure that's a word. Metamorphosized or metamorphosized. Could be one, but... June 20th, 1982. 8:37 p.m. Alright, everyone, I'm going to explain how the raffle works. Please gather around the altar. The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Both the women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they'd held the raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onward to attract more people to the festival. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated, but Oryo, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had them thrown away. Oryo took the initiative and bought a brand new TV, a washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things for the raffle. Dang. The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Ryo was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough in her. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of equal value the following year, so this might be the very first and last raffle. Thanks to you, we have such wonderful prizes this year, Ryo-san. They must have cost a lot, didn't they? We can reimburse you from our budget. Buffoon. No point in reimbursing that. It was never about the money. Idiots. Now, don't say that. This raffle's all thanks to you, Ryo-san. It's not like I'm doing this all by myself. Don't be ridiculous. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Ryo. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. He looked upset, so Kimiyoshi assumed that somebody probably got hurt in an accident. He found the ant dead, or someone found the ant dead, didn't she? Or didn't they? What's going on, Makino-san? I hope you're not having a heart attack. Kimiyoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, still looked tense. He whispered something to Kimiyoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kimiyoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news. Oh-san, I have unpleasant news if you don't mind. Kimiyoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Ryo's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kimiyoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino told him. Yeah, this is bad. It's unexpected. Happens thrice will happen a fourth time. It's not funny, Ryo-san. You're right, it isn't. It's just another hassle. The police are trying to identify the body. I heard that the face was completely destroyed, so it'll be difficult. It's quite clear who it is, though. Eh? Know who it might be? Ryo glared at Kimiyoshi, started chuckling. Idiot. It must be some impudent lad who didn't come to the Watanagashi festival. People who respect Oyashiro-sama won't get involved in something like that. Ryo kept laughing. Kimiyoshi and Makina didn't know how to react to that. June 20th, 1982. 9:04 p.m. This is merciless. Kuma-chan. Every death is merciless, unless the dead wished for it. They have my condolences. How's it going over there? You find something that could identify the body? The forensic investigators shook their heads. Victims wearing sandals and casual clothing. They must be from this neighborhood. We should be able to identify the corpse by asking around. That's the way we do it. Section manager says this case might become classified. So be careful with that. Gotcha. Kumagai gathered some officers and gave them directions. Dr. Irie has arrived. Doctor, it's over here. The young doctor got out of his car and headed in victim's direction. Hello. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I had to help with the raffle. Must have drunk a lot at the festival, Doctor. You sure you're sober? Maybe I should run a breathalyzer test on you just to be safe. I'm fine. My assistant is driving. Clever of you. Hey, let the doctor pass. There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Oishi and Irie pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. Hello, Sophie. Thank you for the fluid check. Oh, we are at 72% of the needed amount rating for the thing. Still got 15 days. The blood spatters and the bloody sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk and indicated with small alphabetized plates. Not used to seeing things like this. Irie took out a handkerchief and covered his nose. You should breathe through your mouth. Well, you might sense the smell visually, though. The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like a middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain it was a middle-aged woman is because its face was completely pulverized. This is brutal. I'm sure it was done out of malice. The victim must have been murdered right here, judging from the pattern of the blood spatters and the soles of the sandals. Even though not many people take this road, body is right in the middle of it. Very unusual to see a culprit who would bludgeon their victim until their face was completely destroyed. Also, can you look at her arms? At least she put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arms. See? Spotless, aren't they? Saying that the victim didn't try to protect her head? There's no signs of struggle. Right you are. I think the victim lost consciousness with the first blow. The culprit kept beating to complete the murder. The victim was probably lying face down at that time, judging from the stains on our clothes. Body is face up now. The culprit seems to have flipped the victim over, or to smash her face, even though by that point, death was certain. Irie looked like he was going to throw up, both because of the putrid smell and Oishi's reasoning. Smashing the victim's face is clearly a sign of a grudge in my experience. A very profound grudge, too. That means the culprit must be someone very close to the victim. I understand why you didn't call me to resuscitate her. Doctor, you know who the victim is. If you do, I don't have to waste time questioning the neighbors. Irie looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then, after a while, Irie left the investigation area without saying anything. I'm sorry. I don't know. He knows. Are you sure? Oishi smirked and looked into Irie's eyes. Listen, Doc. We all know we're thinking the same thing. Wait, the evil aunt is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch is witch, the wicked witch. Ding. Ahem. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate of me. Continue. As though Irie was hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. I guess you're still under the influence, Doctor. Maybe you'll remember when you're sober. Let me know if you do. Oishi tapped Irie on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kumagai returned. Oishi-san, the section manager is on the radio. One in the first car. Irie lied. Huh? Nothing. Hurry up and question the neighbors. Which, for reals, he probably, probably recognize, but he's not wanting to say it, basically to, because he's probably figuring that, yeah, it's Satoshi probably did this. So, yeah. Do we know who died? Oh, it's the aunt. It's definitely the aunt, since this is the evil, abusive aunt. So I'm really torn up by this, as you can imagine. Nothing. Hurry up and question the neighbors. The victim must be from this area. June 20th, 1982, 19:39 p.m. Or 9:39 p.m. Hey. Here he is. Oishi-san. Thank you for coming here this late at night. I know you have school tomorrow. Really sorry to bother you. No problem. Where's your father? My stepfather doesn't come home much. Huh. Since when? When did he come home last? I don't know. I heard he's living with a woman who works at a club in Okonomiya or something. I don't remember exactly when, but I guess I saw him a few weeks ago. Uh-huh. You have your father's address? No. He's living with a woman who works at a club? You know the name of the place? No. I know it's in Okonomiya, and that's all. What's your father's name? Teppei Haojo. Oishi signaled Kumagai with his chin, who nodded while taking notes. Were your mother and father getting along well? I don't know much about that, but I don't think so. See, I want you to tell me honestly. Do you know anyone who might have been holding a grudge against your stepmother? Pulls out long-ass list. I don't. Alright. Please let me know if you remember something. Here's my card. My number is on it. Okay. I might ask to see you again for further inquiries. And if you see your stepfather, please let him know that we want to contact him. Kuma-chan, drive him home, will you? Oh, no. I can go home by myself. Please, let us drive you home. There's a possibility that the culprit who murdered your aunt is roaming around the neighborhood. Might get hurt too. But thank you for your consideration. Really, I'm fine. Satoshi tried to reject the offer, but Oishi and Kumagai insisted. In the end, Satoshi was forced to accept. He turned around to leave, when Oishi spoke to him as if he remembered something he'd forgotten to say. Aojo-san. Yes? Don't worry. No problem. We'll catch the culprit soon. You have any leads? Yes, we do. Like what? That's confidential. Ordinary people might think that Oishi was trying to cheer the poor kid up with a joke. Well, usually people get pretty worked up when they commit murder. Of course, there are some exceptions. What kind of evidence do you find when the culprit's worked up? Somebody is in a very excited condition. Their body shows many symptoms, like sweat, loss of hair. We often find the culprit's hair at crime scenes. Well, this is outside, so it's a bit different, but still. Did you find their hair? I don't know yet. Forensic guys are searching the scene right now. I'm anxious to see what they'll bring me. Now is not a good time to have anime protagonist hair. We need to find a kid with blonde hair and small Japanese face. Ahem. Excuse me, I have to go now. Although, to be fair, forensics involving hair are honestly not very... CSI lied to us, okay? It's not find hair, case solved. It's more like, here's some hair. Can we tell if it's human or not? Oh. Maybe not. And I don't know how the crap he's supposed to find sweat. Hi, Foxglove. Please, Kuma-chan, would you? Sure. See you again soon, Haojo-san. Thank you for the flu check. Yes, that's one of the... Let's enjoy some of the newer teams. Because I didn't have enough already. Yep. I am sure I will not regret that at all.
How about new?
But yes.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC.
I feel like we needed something like... Oh. Thank you for the fluid check.
なんでもないのですよ。ニパーニパーなんでもないのですよ。ニパーニパーニパーニパーなんでもないのですよ。ニパーニパーニパーニパーあとスパイと王なのです。ニパーニパーニパーあとスパイと王なのです。ニパーあと
Knee perception. Oy. To you again, Haojo-san. I'll let you know if there's any progress in the investigation. Let me know when you catch something. Let's cooperate to catch the murder of your stepmother. Do we have to? Sis called the morning after the Watanagashi festival to tell me that the curse had struck again for the 4th time. The victim was the evil aunt who was harassing Satoshi-kun and Satoko. Satoshi-kun's suffering should be over, since the problem with Satoko and the aunt's relationship to begin with. Maybe I should have celebrated, but I wasn't in the mood for some reason. She had not had her morning coffee and accompanied with attacking a small animal of some kind. For no reason. Just can't get my day if I don't throw a kitten against. Everyone else is wondering, what's with this dark humor? What is this? I don't get it. Everyone who was there last time, when she freaking yeeted a small Hopefully we will not have any... I shouldn't say anything. I'm just gonna encourage it somehow. It's like saying, what could possibly go wrong? Like, I'm sure Sion won't do anything crazy or violent. This stream, dur. Do the police have a lead on the suspect? Sis went quiet when I asked that. I don't know. Oishi seemed to be questioning people in the neighborhood. He thinks the culprit is somebody close to the victim. Being identical twins, Sis and I think very much alike. If I suspected Satoshi-kun of being the murderer, so would she. Because of this, I didn't have to mention the obvious. Does Satoshi-kun have an alibi for that day? I don't know. I heaved a huge sigh. You stupid. He was at the festival. Didn't you see him there? Yeah, right. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Wait. But he wasn't at the festival. Or he could have been at the festival. Wait. We ran into this exact same thing when Keiichi was... When in the chapter when Keiichi killed the uncle. Because people were like, but you were at the festival. But he was busy murdering the uncle. We're running into the doppelganger thing again. I heaved another sigh. Sis was stupid enough to forget to make an alibi for him, even though the murder of his aunt alone would raise enough suspicion. So that means he did do it? Wait. Is he saying that for the phone or wait? I'm confused. Which happens a lot. So that means he did do it? It's not important now. Problem is whether he has an alibi or not. The police are gonna come here later. I'll tell them I was with him at the festival. Sis? Lying out the blue like that won't work. If you haven't done anything to ensure his alibi, it's too late now. Please, just be honest with him. I can't trust your acting skills. You might raise more suspicion if you make up something on the spot. Okay. I guess they didn't? Okay, yeah, no, they didn't. Alright. She was asking the asking and answering of the question was phrased weird. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Sounded depressed. I was the one who should have been depressed. Mion usually handles things well, but she's not too good with emergency. I was left worried for the future of the Sonozaki family. Mion must have been embarrassed. She soon changed the subject. I guess you haven't been able to work lately, have you? You're right, I haven't. Thanks to you. I'm sorry about that. I'll hide somewhere until tonight, so maybe you can work today. Sis had been appearing in public places during the festival preparations and whatnot. As a result, I hadn't been able to pretend to be her. I hadn't been able to work. Someone to support myself, it was a bit of a pain. Be honest, I didn't feel like working. I couldn't afford to be sitting around either. When I locked my apartment door before leaving, the door of the next apartment over opened and Kasai appeared. Yun-san, are you heading out? Yeah. I'm going to work since Sis gave me time until tonight. Can you give me a ride? Yun-san, wouldn't it be safer for you to take a few days off? The police seem to be staking out the main house. I don't think it's a good idea to leave. I appreciate your concern, but I have to make money to survive. Sai might suggest he'd donate money to my cause. However, I had sworn to myself when I started living here that I wouldn't depend on Kasai. While I don't obey anyone else's rules, I stick to my own. Kasai could tell I was adamant in my decision, so after repeating himself a couple of times as a formal procedure, he decided to give me a ride after all. Every time we went to my uncle's store by car, we stopped at this traffic light. I knew it was going to happen again, but it still irritated me. Pedestrians passed by in front of the car. I was startled to see that one of them looked like Satoshi-kun. It was him, who I'd spoken with on the phone just a couple of days before. It'd been a while since I saw him last. Sai, sorry, but could you tell my uncle that I can't come today? I'm getting off here. What? Yun-san. Sai looked taken back, but I got out of the car regardless. The light turned green. The car behind him honked while Kasai was shouting at me, so he had to start moving. Toshi-kun was on his back, but he was going really slow. I caught up with him in a flash and tapped him on the back. Hello. I'm surprised to see you in Okinomiya, Satoshi-kun. If I talked to him with a smile, he might smile back. So I smiled as brightly as I could. Mion. He looked tired as always, but as I could tell, he was trying to smile back. My worries suddenly disappeared. I was certain I looked happy. I was aware of that myself, so it must have been obvious to Satoshi-kun. I don't know the circumstances, but you look happy. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy because you look happy. When I teased him, he looked a bit embarrassed. It was like we were back in the good old days. I felt even happier than before. What's going on, Satoshi-kun? Did something good happen? Not really. My aunt died and I have to deal with the police and the neighbors. I might have asked something dumb. He seemed to be okay with it, though. Are we shocked? Ahem. He frowned a bit at first, but Satoshi-kun continued smiling gently. He looked worn out, but satisfied, like he had accomplished something great. That was the mood I sensed from him. So I was convinced. The one who killed that wicked aunt who tormented Satoko was him. I had absolutely no proof, but I knew it intuitively. So I omitted all those questions. I knew Satoshi-kun's motive for killing his aunt and how badly he was driven into a corner. I knew the environment and the situation he was in. And I knew Satoshi-kun's feelings. I knew all of that. So I omitted all those questions. I wanted to celebrate his release from that curse. So I smiled like nothing was different as I asked. Where are you going, Satoshi-kun? To work? That's right. I have to make a stop before that, though. Stop. I have to make sure it's still there, otherwise I'll continue feeling really anxious. That conversation reminded me. The reason he started his part-time job was to buy Satoko a huge teddy bear. It was being sold at the toy store just down the street. I recalled that the teddy bear was very expensive. Toko's birthday was right after the festival. I wasn't sure what day, though. Wait, did he say he quit his job? Maybe he was going to greet his ex-coworkers and clean out his locker or something. Either way, he'd be completely free very soon. Maybe he hadn't been paid yet. That's why he wanted to check if they still had the teddy bear. Maybe he was only getting paid on Satoko's birthday. When we got near the toy store, he rushed to the display window. He looked relieved that it hadn't been sold yet. Good. All right. It's still there. You've earned enough money already, haven't you? Why don't you reserve it? He probably hadn't thought of that. He really did need someone to look after him. I looked into the display window over his shoulder. The teddy bear wasn't that cute in my opinion. It looked huge and cramped in the middle of the store showcase. Really, looked more like a display model than an item for sale. I don't see his price tag. Is that really for sale? How much is it? Yeah. Sure they sell it. What about the price? Does it fit your budget? It's alright, I already checked. Satoshi-kun thought I was teasing him again. He pouted and looked a little sulky. No problem then. Why don't you go reserve it now? Then you won't have to feel anxious anymore. I neared the store and looked for a clerk. Is anybody here? Nice. He can get it without paying. No, Mion. Feeling is bad. I'm just kidding. Trying to make you laugh. You think I'd really do that? Oh, no. Sorry. Satoshi-kun smiled apologetically. I puffed up my cheeks to tease him. It had really been a while since the last time we did this. Between those times, my undesirable things happened. Many undesirable things happened that I wanted to forget. Now I felt as though those things simply vanished into the air around us. I found an old person napping in the back. He must be the clerk, I thought. He looked to be fast asleep. When your friend murders his ex, you gotta cheer him up. I mean, we've all been there, you know. She's like that sometimes. Oh. Excuse me, you work here, right? I poked his shoulder, but he didn't look like he was going to wake up. When I did that, a middle-aged woman wearing an apron came in. Grandpa, you fell asleep again. We have customers. I'm really sorry, you two. Been very flaky, you know. The middle-aged woman shook the old man awake and told him to go back to the living room. She went to the cash register after that. That was so embarrassing. So how can I help you? I'd like to reserve something. That big teddy bear just in the display window. Oh, that one? You sure? It is really expensive. You know that, right? Yes. I think I have enough. You'll get paid really soon. We'd like to reserve it. The woman looked a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually wrote down Satoshi-kun's name and accepted the reservation. Satoshi-kun received a slip of paper. See, you don't have to worry about the teddy bear anymore. Yeah, get paid soon too. I feel relieved now. Would have kept coming to check every day if he hadn't done this now. Would have spent his time needlessly worrying. Satoshi-kun looked very relieved indeed. I should have done it sooner. Usually people do that right away when they want something. It's very rare for somebody not to think of that. It's so very fun to tease him. Sorry, we're pressing some jokes right now. Of terrible things to tease him about. Like, did you hit one out of the park last night? I'm sorry, it also wasn't even that good. Wasn't that well thought. Like, hey, is that ketchup on your shirt? Those painful days seem unbelievable now. Satoshi-kun looked like he'd forgotten everything that happened up until yesterday. Anyway, thanks. Satoshi-kun held out his hand to touch my head. Is he going to stroke it? I felt my face reddening already. And before he touched my head, I felt tingly, remembering the last time. Don't care about the murder or whatever else happened. As long as Satoshi-kun had his freedom, everything would be alright. I'd be content as long as we could live happily from today onward. But Satoshi-kun's hand never reached my head. I slowly opened my eyes, only to realize that the situation had drastically changed. There were 4 men in suits blocking our way. Looked as though they'd been waiting for us to exit the toy store. Dun dun dun! Oh, hello. The oldest of the four men stepped forward. Getting the voices mixed up. The oldest of the 4 men stepped forward while smirking. I never met this man, but it looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi-kun. He was probably a cop. I ran a search for information in my head, and found some right away. Good to see both of you, Ajo-san and Sonozaki-san. Sorry to bother you at a time like this. This must be Kurado Oishi, the cop who's been investigating the series of mysterious deaths. He thinks that the Sonozaki family is behind all of the cases. In other words, he's an enemy of the Sonozaki family. He has deep connections with other investigation divisions in the police force, and likes to nose around the businesses in this area. He annoys the Sonozaki family enough that it is by interfering with its Yakuza businesses, let alone his suspicions on the series of mysterious deaths. Naturally, as the family's successor, he's not a welcome figure to Mio and Sonozaki. I tried to imagine how Sis would react. Oh, Oishi-san. Thank you for working hard for our safety. Oh, the 4 of you want something from the toy store? A doll, maybe? I know what they want, and it's not a toy. It's probably not me, either. They want Satoshi-kun. I took a look at Satoshi-kun. He seemed a bit uncomfortable. The other 3 cops loosely surrounded us to prevent our escape. Ajo-san, I'd like to talk to you about something. What for? Are you taking him to the station? You don't have to go with them, Satoshi-kun. Let's get out of here. I pushed on his shoulder, but he just stood there looking pale and bewildered. Bewildered? No, he actually looked resigned. And I recalled Sis's mistake. It's obvious that he killed his aunt from the circumstances. You didn't even have to look at the crime scene. How could Mion have failed to create an alibi? That stupid Mion must have spoken to the police without making anything up at all. He must have not told them that she knew where Satoshi-kun was. If she hadn't done anything, the villagers wouldn't work to help her. It was just a matter of time until the police uncovered Satoshi-kun's complete lack of an alibi. The police were trying to corner him and lead him to confess. I looked at Satoshi-kun's face once again. He looked like a dead man. He probably didn't know he could refuse to be interrogated. If he was taken to the station and grilled by Oishi, he'd confess in a minute. Somebody had to protect him. Nobody had ever been there for him. I had to step up now. But how? Be possible to alter what Mion had already told them, saying it was a mistake? That wasn't going to work. If I had more time, I'd come up with an excellent idea. But I didn't have that much time at all. Pressure him. Cops were drawing nearer. Satoshi-kun must have felt intimidated. He might end up turning himself in due to the pressure while I'm stuck trying to come up with something. I have to do something now. I have to say something. Otherwise, Satoshi-kun might give in. I have to save him. Oishi drew nearer. Satoshi-kun fell back. Oh. It won't take much time. Come on, don't be scared. Remember, kids, when someone laughs right after saying don't be scared, you should probably be scared. It won't take much time. He just said it. He just said he wouldn't let him out. He said he wouldn't let him out if he caught him now. Satoshi-kun, don't give in. You give in now, everything you've been working for will be ruined. Satoshi-kun looked like he was at his breaking point. Oishi was clearly aware of it. Oishi smirked and held out his arm to grab Satoshi-kun's shoulder. I felt electrified when I saw that. That hand shouldn't be allowed to touch Satoshi-kun. That... sorry, pardon me. The moment Thank you for the fluid check. The moment Oishi touched his shoulder, he'd give in. Go to the police station and confess everything. You want to know his alibi? Oishi turned his face toward me, his hand left hanging in the air. I wasn't very prepared for this. I had to stop Oishi no matter what. I only needed to gain some time. It didn't really matter what I said. Right. I want to get Haojo-san's alibi. Must not be doing our jobs. Can't seem to confirm his whereabouts at the time of the crime. It's shameful. We decided to question him in person. You don't have to ask him. I can confirm his alibi. Oh, really? That'd help. He told me that you were at the festival that night and many people can confirm it. It'd be easier if we could confirm that Haojo-san was with you. She's gonna confess that she's not Mion and that she's actually Shion and that he was with her. Isn't she? But my money's on. I don't think you mentioned him when I questioned you last time, did you? Going to change your statement now? Even though no one at the festival saw Haojo-san, you're going to tell me he was with you. That's right. It was with me. Wouldn't that be enough? I know you were there with your other friends that night. I saw that myself. You still saying that you were with him? Isn't that a little too hard to believe? Isn't it? Oishi approached me with a creepy smile. He teasing me because my excuse sounded funny? I don't think so. He was frustrated due to being interrupted when he was about to catch a big fish. You saying that you forgot that you were with it? Just now remembered you actually were. Mion Sonozaki-san. I did get a little scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I could save Satoshi-kun if I revealed my real identity. I was aware of the risk. Grandma would certainly capture me if I revealed it. I didn't think of the consequences after that. Notebook, page 27. I knew it. I'm not Mion Sonozaki. I didn't go to the Watanagashi festival in the first place. Huh? Satoshi-kun and I were talking in a restaurant in Okonomiya at the time. The name of the place is Angel Mort. You can confirm that with the owner if you want. Oishi was still smirking, but he apparently felt confused. What are you saying? You aren't Mion, then if you aren't Mion, then who are you? I'm Shion Sonozaki, Mion's twin sister. Pleasure to meet you, Oishi-san. Oishi looked perplexed, but he didn't believe what I'd said. Frowned. I didn't know Mion Sonozaki had a twin sister. You trying to fool me? Not at all. Why don't you check my family register or whatever? Did I call sis? All the cops look bewildered now. Shion Sonozaki. Yes, that's me. Is there anything wrong? Can you come with us? You're testifying that you were with Haojos on that night. I'll have to talk to you soon, too. Sure thing. Please go easy on us. Cops gathered at their car and started discussing something. Looked like they never expected this to happen. I hope to be able to fake Satoshi-kun's alibi for at least a little while. It shouldn't be too difficult to talk to Sis about this and forge up an alibi together. Satoshi-kun, tell them you were chatting with me at Angel Mart that night, no matter what they ask, okay? I'll confirm your alibi. Tell them you don't remember that night too clearly, or maybe you should just keep silent. Satoshi-kun wore a startled expression. Though I was telling him something important, he'd apparently decided not to listen. Can you hear me, Satoshi-kun? You can't mess this up, okay? Okay. He must have been feeling deceived. No wonder. I just confessed that I wasn't Mion, her twin sister. I really had been deceiving him. Are you upset? Why? Because I've been fooling you. Satoshi-kun started laughing. Wait. Did he figure it out? I didn't know why he'd laugh, because he wasn't the type of person who would laugh in order to hide something. I finally understand why you are weird sometimes in class. I've been thinking it was a bit strange. Aren't you upset that I've been fooling you? Satoshi-kun looked puzzled. It was like he didn't know whether he should be upset about it or not. Or maybe he was only pretending to be that way. So, this isn't the first time we've met, is it? Well, yeah, that's right. Okay. How do you write your name? With the characters for poetry and sound. Neon. Huh. That's a beautiful name. When he said that, she went. I'm terrible. Could you please come with us to the station? We can get you instant coffee or tea if you'd like. Tea? I will come with you then. How to trap a kobold. You come with me, I will give you some tea, okay. Notebook, page 29. Either Satoshi-kun was smart or very lucky, or maybe it wasn't him. The police found nothing at the crime scene to indicate his involvement in the murder. Yet Satoshi-kun was still the prime suspect. Considering his home environment, he had a strong enough motive. He had no alibi. The police had everything other than physical evidence. It wasn't surprising that Oishi took a chance. He probably didn't expect me to step in. What I did was too little to avert his suspicion of Satoshi-kun. Oishi believed that Satoshi-kun did it. He was waiting for Satoshi-kun to fall apart and confess. That's what both Oishi and I were thinking. But that hypothesis was destroyed later on. I'll not talk about it now, but Oishi's theory will be disproven, and the police will be thrown into shock. The question comes to mind. That is, who saved Satoshi-kun? I can only think of the possibility that the Sonozaki family invented the culprit. Right, because there was the criminal or whatever that they hadn't kept that, like, confessed. Which was really the only reason that Satoshi kind of able to, was able to get away. Which that does make sense. Cops were smart enough to separate us during questioning. Oishi didn't come to talk to me. Same was Satoshi-kun and nobody else. I got a young cop who just talked about ordinary things. Must have been trying to ease me into the interrogation. When I realized that, the clumsy way he spoke began to frustrate me. Satoshi-kun alright? I didn't think Oishi really bought my testimony. He must have been trying to get Satoshi-kun to confess in spite of that. All I could do was pray that he'd keep quiet. The phone on the desk rang. The cop picked it up. This is Kumagai. What? All right. I understand. Right away. He hung up and told me somebody had come to retrieve me. Looked like Satoshi-kun had to stay. Were they going to continue the interrogation just because they had nobody to pick him up? Although, maybe I should have been worrying more about myself. The hag had probably heard about me by now since I revealed my real identity to the police. I couldn't hide any longer. I was going to receive some sort of punishment. I had no idea what she'd end up doing to me. The degree of punishment for a traitor is always severe in the world of the Sonozakis. The punishment must be carried out. If it's to protect the family's reputation, it's carried out no matter what. Maybe I should kiss my pinky finger while I still can. I asked the young cop just in case. Hey, did you know that in America, if a condemned criminal gets arrested in a state which has banned capital punishment, they'll refuse to surrender him to the state prosecuting him if that state hasn't banned it? Huh? Maybe it was too difficult for him. He just looked puzzled. A glossy black car was waiting for me in front of the police station. A few men from my dad's office bowed to me. It's been a long time, Shion-san. Where's Kasai? Kasai had been helping me ever since my escape from the school. They wouldn't allow him to walk free. How's Sis doing? Does she have something to say about this? We're only told to bring you to the main house. Please ask her when you get there. After saying that, he escorted me into the car. A man sat on either side of me. Obviously, they didn't want me to escape. Thinking of Satoshi-kun, I looked back at the police station. Hold on tight, Satoshi-kun. I'll grin and bear it, too. Car started off roughly. It was never a good occasion when I went to this house. Except when Mian and I were really small, oblivious of what the Sonozaki name meant for us. I'd been here only when I had to attend boring family councils. Car parked behind the house. Raiders aren't allowed in through the main gate. I got out of the car. It looked like Sis would be the only person to receive me. I almost spoke to her casually, but her cold gaze froze me before I could. It's been a while, Shion. I never expected to see you other than on New Year's. Gave me chills to hear her greet me in that cold manner. It's a pleasure to see you again, Mion-sama. Feel overjoyed to have the chance to see you other than on New Year's. I responded, trying to sound likewise. Our leader is deeply upset. I wonder how you'll explain yourself. I have nothing to explain. I had no excuse. I'd escaped from the school solely because I couldn't stand it there. That was all. Shion, come this way. Everyone is waiting for you. Mion escorted me, and the others followed. We went to the guard, not into the house. As we passed through the huge yard into the woods, I realized where she was taking me. Oh crap. I feel like the trigger warning may be... They're going to the super happy fun time shed room, cave room, whatever. Aren't they? I realized where she was taking me. When we were little, we were told never to go near these woods. I had a vague idea of what was in the back of them. I'd heard there was a hidden entrance to the underground torture room, where they used to punish the enemies of the family. The more hideous rumors I heard about the family, the more credible those rumors seemed. Well, I wasn't completely certain about any of that. I never expected to see the torture room for myself. We came to a concave clearing in the middle of the woods. I saw a metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter. Now this is the underground torture room, huh? I was surprised to hear my own voice. My voice was trembling. Made me realize that I was more scared than I thought. Nobody answered my question. The very air felt tense. According to the family rules, one of the twins must be eliminated. Is that finally going to be eliminated? I realized I had been underestimating my punishment. I hadn't been aware of the real terror until now. Just thought I was. Beyond the steel door, the air had an intimidating smell. This really was happening to me. I shouldn't allow myself to give in to fear. I felt like saying something rude, but my lips were dry, and my fingers were fidgeting. I was escorted through the narrow hallway and down a few sets of stairs. There I saw another huge steel door. So this was the place. It was a spacious and utterly odd-looking room. The room had two sections that looked completely different. One side looked like a lounge. I saw several high-ranking members of the family council sitting on cushions there looking expressionless. The other half was tiled, as if in a large public bath. That was already puzzling enough. And there were those things. To be honest, they had captured my attention from the moment I arrived. I noticed them even before I saw the lounge and tiled space. I just didn't want to accept that they existed. I couldn't stand straight. I almost dropped to my knees, but I couldn't. Two young men had been holding me by the arm since I got here. There were odd-shapen things hanging from the wall. I was just refusing to recognize what they were. I knew exactly what they were called. I see. I understood that those eerily shaped objects were torture devices from hell. Damn fool, how dare you return? The hag sitting at the front of the lounge intimidated me in a horrid voice. She kept cursing me for a little while. She was so incensed that I could barely tell what she was saying. I knew what she was trying to say, though. The hag was willing to forgive my escape from the school. Once I revealed my identity to the police, she had to step in. Since I had disobeyed the family rule, she, as the leader, was forced to punish me. Moreover, there was one thing that bothered her more than anything else. The fact that I covered for Satoshi-kun. The Haojo family had been seen as traitors to the village ever since the dam conflict. Satoshi-kun is still considered one of them. I couldn't accept that I was connected to him. To me, this was a bit unexpected. I'd escaped from the school the hag had put me in. All the while, I'd believed that was what she was upset about. But in fact, she said that she was the most uncomfortable with my connection with Satoshi-kun. I couldn't believe this. Of course, I knew that Satoshi-kun's family was persecuted for their betrayal, but I didn't think that Satoshi-kun was also burdened with that responsibility. He has nothing to do with that. I understand that his parents were ostracized, but he shouldn't be... Shut the hell up. The hag interrupted me with a shout which made me cower in fear. She continued slandering the Haojos and said that Satoshi-kun was a cursed child. I started feeling pissed off. What did he do to deserve this? What was he being blamed for? It was too late when I realized I'd said that out loud. The hag looked furious. I'd obviously upset her. I decided to repeat myself to make it very clear how I felt. What are you saying, you old hag? Everything you've spouted is nonsense. Huh? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Shut the fuck up, let me finish. I shouted loudly to silence the hag. What the fuck do you know about Satoshi-kun? How could you talk about him like he's some pest when you don't know anything about him? I know how sweet he is. You don't like him because he's a Haojo? Fucking stupid is that? Is even your brain archaic or what? You hate the fact that a Sonozaki is with a Haojo that much? That's not just stupid, that's beyond stupid. Boy, I never expected to feel like Juliet. My voice became hoarse from shouting. My face was messy with tears. Even so, I didn't feel like putting a stop to my emotional explosion. I was all too aware that I was doing this just to overwhelm my fear. The hag was glaring at me while breathing heavily. I glared back at her as fierce as I could. Eventually, I realized that her sticking point was my relationship with Satoshi-kun. She wasn't only upset that I had a mere connection with him. I see. Like Mion mentioned that too. It was as though Mion was wearing a mask. He didn't budge under my penetrating glare. That was what the hag was really unhappy about. The fact that I was in love with Satoshi-kun. I don't give a shit about his family background or my own. Yeah, I'll admit that I'm in love with him. I love Satoshi Haojo-kun. I love him so much. Is that so wrong? You need a reason to love somebody. I could see the relatives shaking their heads in turmoil. Among them, I saw my mom. Must have been trying to protect me. But even she wouldn't look at me. Instead, she looked silently at the floor. Did you guys in the back hear me? Am I wrong? You know how sweet Satoshi-kun is in an instant if you'd bothered to get to know him. How can you put him down without? Mion held out a hand to silence me. Then she slowly walked in my direction. That is enough, Shion. I understand what you wanted to say. Mion put her head close to mine and whispered. Shion, I know how you feel. You can't go back after coming this far. You have to pay for what you did. What did I do? Why me? It's ridiculous. Mion. Mion's face turned cold again, and she calmly told me. You're probably right, but this is Hinamizawa, and we are the Sonozakis, as I'm sure you understand. We are the leaders of the three families, and you are the twin sister of the successor, Mion Sonozaki. Yet, I interrupted her. We haven't agreed on that matter ever since I came back. You're full of this reputation shit. Hinamizawa, Sonozakis, so what? I don't give a fuck about. Listen. Mion interrupted me just like I did her. How many people did you depend on to start your new life in Okonomiya? Chills shot through my spine. Kasai's in the cell at the back. Why Kasai? I knew why, of course. The moment I got caught, those who helped me were destined to meet the same fate. We were all subjected to the punishment of betrayal. Maybe my punishment would be lighter than what they'd be going through. Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro must have been treated much worse than this. Everybody who helped me was fallen victim. I know that you are prepared for your punishment, but have you ever thought of the consequences that Kasai-san and Uncle Yoshiro will have to face? My head rapidly cooled down. My aggression was all used up. I should be able to bear whatever punishment they'd bring on me, but I resented the fact that I'd be putting the people who supported me at risk. Gion, apologize to Granny. If you do, the others won't have to suffer. Alright? But, Mion, did I really do something wrong? Was any of what I said that bad? The moment Mion learned that I wasn't willing to apologize, her expression turned cold again. She turned her back to me and returned to the lounge. I talked back to the hag in a really harsh manner. I told her that I didn't do anything wrong, yet I involved many people to whom I owed so much. Went without saying this was my responsibility. I was the sole person to blame, and no fault lay with them. Kasai and Yoshiro-san were blameless, just as Satoshi-kun was. But then, as if she read my mind, Mion turned around and gave a slight nod. It was possible that something was going to happen to Satoshi-kun. up of Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro. Wait, sis! Can't happen. Toshikun, I mean nobody else should be punished. Please forgive him. What is it, Shion? Tears rolled down my cheeks. I no longer cared about my pride. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I should have said what the hag wanted to hear, and she still looked unsatisfied. Maybe that wasn't too surprising. I had just announced her so badly in front of the relatives. She wouldn't forgive me so easily. Just then, Shion spoke as the successor. So Shion, how do you propose to pay for this? Hey, what do you want me to do? Nothing could be scarier than being told to pay up while standing next to horrid-looking torture devices. I was completely terrified. I couldn't move from trembling. Mion saw that and whispered to our grandmother. The hag nodded. Mion summoned some young minions and gave them an order. They removed one of the torture devices hanging on the wall. They set a table in front of me and put the device on top of it. What is this? It's a tool for removing fingernails. You know how to use it? No way. Ooh. 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 Ah. Just thinking about it. If people want to duck out for a little bit, I totally understand. I'll tell you what. If someone wants to duck out or like mute this while this is going on, after the I'll put on the I'll cue the puffer fish once it's over. Okay. I shook as I stared at the tool. It looked like a giant nail clipper. Probably put the part that looks like a beak between your finger and fingernail, pulling them apart if you squeeze the handle. Chills ran up and down my spine when I imagined that. Each fingernail represents one of your responsibilities, Shion Sonozaki. No matter which ones you choose, you must remove 3 nails yourself. 3. One for Kasai, 1 for Uncle Yoshiro, the last for Satoshi-kun. It was a fairly reasonable number. Will you really not punish the others? Promise me. Please let them go if I do this. This is a punishment, not a negotiation. If you don't like the procedure, I'll do it. Just give me a second, I'm doing it. I put the device to my little finger while shaking badly. If my fingernail were shorter, it would have been harder. Metal beak captured my little finger beautifully. The subordinates then stabilized my left hand with a different restraining tool. That seemed reasonable, as my finger would slip out if it weren't restrained like that. The subordinates buckled up the leather straps. I realized that this was really happening. And there was no escape. Somewhere in my mind, I'd been thinking that they might forgive me after just the gesture alone. I shouldn't have been so naive. The emotions I'd been holding back appeared in the form of tears and kept rolling down my cheeks. It was like my feelings were being squeezed out until the very last drip. Something even more horrifying followed this. It was the silence that awaited my next action. What should I do now? The subordinates pointed to the handle and told me to either squeeze it or hit it. He recommended that the latter would be easier, to make it quick. Nobody said anything after that. There was nothing to hear but the sound of my sweat dripping onto the floor. The onlookers were staring at me silently, awaiting for me to execute my punishment. Both the hag and Mion. They were also anticipating it. I could refuse. That meant I wouldn't be paying up. This punishment exists to offer payment in exchange for the safety of those who help me. If I refused, they would suffer. I started breathing heavily. I knew that if I did this, the others would go free. This was, if you thought about it, quite a good deal. If it weren't me, it wouldn't be just 3 fingernails. For Kasai, he'd have to sacrifice his little finger or something even worse. I knew that. It was my selfish desire to get away from that school. So I have to suffer because of that. I knew that. Why did Uncle Yoshiro have to suffer just because he provided me with a job? I knew that the hag and the other relatives still hated the Haojos. So I didn't know what they'd do to Satoshi-kun if I didn't do this. They bring Satoshi-kun here and tell him to do the same. They tell him to remove his fingernails in exchange for forgiving me. Do it. Sacrifice himself with no hesitation in order to save others. My sweat dripped on the table through my nose. I'd do it, yeah. It was only 3 fingernails. Might hurt a lot, but I wouldn't die. The fingernails would grow back. It wouldn't even leave a huge scar. I shouldn't be afraid. The punishment was minimal because it was me. I refused to do this. The others would be punished much more severely. I couldn't let that happen to Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Satoshi-kun. I was the only one who should be punished. So, I just needed to bear the pain. I wasn't just breathing heavily anymore. Also moaning faintly, ready to scream at any moment. That's right, make it quick. This wasn't torture, so I didn't have to prolong the moment of pain. I should do it in one swift blow. That way, my pain and fear would be minimized. I raised my right arm. Quickly. Pain would be lessened if I did it in one stroke. It would be much more painful if I messed it up. I held my breath. I felt as if my body was frozen. I was choking. Chills crept up my spine. Don't be afraid, Shion. Fingernails are just a tiny fraction of the whole body. Just 1 square centimeter. I could do this. I could bear it. I smacked my right hand onto the handle of the device. I sensed the noise. Thank you for the fluid check. I sensed the noise through my body instead of through my ears. At the same time, I felt a pain I'd never experienced before. A moment later, the pain pulsated with my heartbeat. I clenched my teeth. I felt like my teeth were cracking. I tightly shut my eyes until my eyeballs got squeezed up. The pain wouldn't fade. Rather, it swelled with my blood pressure. I felt as though it was bloating like a balloon. Timidly, I opened my eyes. I found that my little finger wasn't really drenched in blood. It was bleeding, but not much. Certainly not to explain how much it hurt. My fingernail was open just like the hood of a car. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was overwhelming. It occurred to me I only done 1 out of 3. Did I have to repeat this 2 more times? Did I have to remove the nails from my ring and middle fingers as well? I looked at the hag and at Mion begging for mercy, but they were just silently staring at me, as if the show had only just begun. I saw no hint of mercy in their eyes. they wouldn't be changing their minds. Since they said 3, it had to be 3. They wouldn't forgive me until I removed 2 more fingernails. Mion, look, is this enough? It hurts, you know that. See that in my eyes, don't you? It really hurts. Mion answered, still wearing a cold look. You can't keep going, Jion. You didn't mean that it was sufficient. But she meant as the others would have to take the remaining punishment if I didn't. I knew that, I really did know. I'll do it. This is easy. You sadists. Doesn't scare me. This doesn't hurt. Work for a bit. Yeah, I understand. Don't worry about it. Once again, I'll cue the puffer fish when this is over. I quickly moved the metal beak and set it on my ring finger, and smacked it with no hesitation. Instead of making it quick, maybe I was just rushing out of fear. I'd messed up. Torture tool had clipped just the tip of my fingernail. The pain, however, was equal. I couldn't believe I only chipped it. Did I have to do it again? To continue removing the nail from my ring finger? That much pain again? Again? Jion. No. I don't want to do it. I couldn't bear it anymore. Started crying shamelessly. I can't take it anymore. It's too painful. Forgive me, please. I'm sorry, I apologize. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They didn't seem to hear my voice. Felt as though there was an invisible barrier between us. They showed no mercy. They were just here to witness this ritual. But rather than sympathetic, they looked amazed by my screw-up. Mion looked up to me and whispered to my crying face, Jion, there's just a bit more to go. Hang in there. No. I can't do this. It really hurts. It really does. Mion shook her head, then signaled the subordinates. They came from behind me. They covered my head with something like a knit cap. It was a blindfold. One of them pinned me in an Elsinol, restricting my movement. No, stop it. No. I couldn't overpower the guy behind me. Then I felt something strange on my left hand. The other guy was doing something with the torture tool. He put the metal beak between my ring finger and its fingernail. Oh, help me. My left hand was fixed in the restraints, so I couldn't put much protest anyway. But even though that left hand pressed down by his rough palms until it hurt, robbing it of the freedom even to tremble. They had no hesitation. It was made very clear to me how merciless people could be. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assailing me. If there was anything I was thankful for, it was that he was well practiced and had ripped off both my fingernails cleanly. Pain and screaming might induce narcotic chemicals in the brain. While screaming, I started losing consciousness. What's worse, this or the curved fingernail or the curved nails? I don't know. I prefer not knowing. Oh, thank goodness that's over. All right, time for the signal that that was over. There we go. I woke up. My memories were missing. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my hand with both hands. My left hand was bandaged. Finger that had their nails removed had swollen like hot dogs. I'd paid with those 3 fingernails for what I did. The hag had something after the punishment, but I didn't remember any of it. I was taken to a hospital in Okinomiya. Thank you for the fluid check. Car shook on the way in, and extra pain on top of what I already felt. Somebody gave me some aspirin. It worked just like they said on TV, but they didn't last more than 10 minutes. I swallowed the pills without water. I was spacing out in the waiting lounge. Kasai showed up. Probably came to check if I was alright. I obviously wasn't. He must have understood that from my bandaged left arm dangling from my shoulder. Kasai, on the other hand, looked just fine. At least on the outside. I'm relieved that my sacrifice had meant something. Kasai didn't say anything. I couldn't tell if he wanted to tell me something or not, because he looked so emotionless. Kasai. Yes? He paused shortly before answering. I could tell he was upset. I didn't regret revealing my true identity in order to protect Satoshi-kun. But I hadn't wanted Kasai or Uncle Yoshiro to be hurt. I had been contradicting myself. You know how Uncle Yoshiro's doing? No. I'm sure he's alright, because he's strong. Even so, I apologize to him. Okay. I wanted to ask him about Satoshi-kun too. I wondered if he was captured or harassed by the Sonozaki family because of me. But I was hesitant to ask Kasai. After all, I'd chosen Satoshi-kun over them. Is Satoshi alright? I hoped he wouldn't get caught or incarcerated somewhere. I paid the hospital bill and Kasai gave me a ride home. I finally realized that somebody was knocking on my door. Shion-san, not healthy to sleep so much. It was Kasai. He put some side dishes on the table. We started nibbling at them. How do you feel? Rest. Have you been resting? Have you been eating? I've been eating the stuff left in the fridge. Otherwise, I've been either sleeping or staring at the ceiling. Been 3 days. I've just been lying down since then. I woke up every now and then in my shallow sleep, but I didn't feel like getting up or thinking. I felt like I'd just been floating the whole time. My appetite was gone. It came back with the smell of the food Kasai brought. Wasn't able to think of anything to talk to Kasai about, so I just ate silently. I got a call from Mion-san yesterday. She was saying she called you a few times but never got through. The moment I heard Mion's name, I felt my wounds throb. But I didn't stop Kasai, who continued. Because you paid up, the family decided to close the matter. We'll officially withdraw from St. Lucia's and transfer to a school in Okonomiya. They're finally acknowledging my right to make my own decisions, huh? Indeed. They said you could live as yourself now, a few conditions. You will stay away from Hinamizawa. You won't pretend to be Mion Sonozaki. Won't show up in public places, and so on. This means, in exchange for acknowledging me, they don't want me to hang around. That's correct. Of course, it's only temporary, until things cool down. There is no set duration, but I think you should stay inconspicuous at least until the end of the year. It'd be good enough just to live in Okonomiya quietly, the way it was before. Sai put on a sad smile. I smiled back at him likewise. Before the conversation ended, I should ask him what I wanted to know. How's Satoshi-kun doing? Wish that Kasai would assure me of his safety right away, but he didn't answer like that. Kasai, you alright, Mion-san? Kasai put his chopsticks down. Family wants you to forget about him. What? Mion-san. I don't want to get in an argument with you, so I will not get into the details. I'm only relaying to you what the family wants. What are you talking about? Details, Kasai. Kasai pretended as though he didn't hear me and started eating again. I'd never seen him get so stubborn like this. Sonozaki family had been using the Houcho family as a scapegoat. Must have concluded that a Sonozaki shouldn't be in love with a Houcho. I didn't like that. Toko was a friend of Mion's at school. Be okay if Satoshi-kun and I were the same gender? Anyway, if I did something conspicuous again, they might do something to him for real. It's like they forced me to remove my own fingernails. Sonozaki family wouldn't hesitate. They'd torture him if need be. Maybe if I really loved him, I should stay away. Satoshi-kun wouldn't show up in Okinomiya, unless he rejoins the Hinamizawa fighters. I'd have to pretend to be Mion if I wanted to go to Hinamizawa, but I didn't think she'd cooperate with me. And if she did, it'd be some time down the road. They told me to not to see him. I had already had no means of doing that again. Wait, Mion gave me his number a little while ago. I could call him, maybe ask to meet with him secretly. If I got caught again, they wouldn't cut me any slack. Did I risk it? The hell did I even want from Satoshi-kun? Sa, can I be alone for a moment? Kasai started putting away his food in a rush, assuming that I wanted him to leave. No, that's not what I meant. Take your time and finish your food. Just want to take a walk. Can't lock this place up if I don't step out with you. Kasai quickly put away his meal and followed me out. Be clear, I'm not going out to see Satoshi-kun, alright? I see. I turned around and started walking. My destination was rather pathetic. It was the toy store that sold that giant teddy bear. I couldn't deny that I was somehow expecting Satoshi-kun to pass by there. I couldn't stop myself from looking at the faces of passersby who resembled him. I looked into the store's window. The teddy bear was gone. Congrats, Satoshi-kun. Looks like you were able to buy it. His evil aunt had died and his wicked uncle was living with his mistress. Satoshi-kun succeeded in fulfilling his duty as a big brother by buying his little sister that huge teddy bear. There was nobody left to hurt him. He was free from his tiresome efforts. He was completely free from pain. For a time, he'd retrieve his smile, and he'd go back to being the Satoshi-kun I love. But I wouldn't be there with him. Honk honk. I heard a car honking. I didn't think it was honking me at first, but it was so persistent that I had to look up. The person waving me from their car was Irie. He was waving at me all carefree, oblivious to my feelings. Sonozaki-san, long time no see. Oh, are you meeting up with Houjo-san? No, I'm not. I know that he looks into that store's windows all the time. So I assumed you were expecting him here or something. No, I'm just passing by. Like he was able to buy that teddy bear. Irie seemed to know about the teddy bear as well. He smiled upon seeing its empty display space. Yesterday was Satoko-chan's birthday. He must have celebrated it with that teddy bear. He doesn't have to work so hard anymore, huh? Indeed. He turned in his resignation to the Hinamizawa fighters? Oh, does that even exist? I never received one. Did you, Sonozaki? Haha. No, I didn't. So that means he still belongs to the team. I think he'll be back after things have settled down. But I know he'll be sad if he doesn't see you there. Irie teased me. He's a grown-up after all. Must have been trying to sound optimistic because he knew I was feeling a bit down. You can come back to the team anytime you want. It might as well be empty without you. I'm thinking of providing you with a maid costume once you come back.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC.
I'm glad I put that. I wanted to do something different than the standard FBI open up. Irie sure hadn't changed. Oh, I almost forgot. I can tell you my name now. Sorry, Coach, I was lying about my identity. I'm not Mion. I'm her twin sister, Shion. I've been pretending to be here for a few reasons. Eh? What? You're Mion's twin sister? I was totally taken back. I burst into laughter again. Yeah, I'm Shion Sonozaki. I'm forced to live quietly because my grandmother hates me, though. I never realized that Mion's a twin sister. Gonna say something very inappropriate, isn't he? Now I just wish that was gonna be too late. Same here. Suddenly a loud voice interrupted us. The voice sounded mean and greasy, unlike Kirie. It was him, Oishi. Hello, Dr. Irie. Thank you for your cooperation last night. Don't mention it. I wasn't of much help. We're just going through the motions. It's obvious they hated each other. Irie whispered to me. I'm leaving now. Want to get in my car? I can drive you home. Irie figured that Oishi was after me, but he was giving me a chance to slip away. Looking at Oishi's face, it was clear that his focus was on me, not Irie. Probably intended to interrogate me until my testimony broke. I was sure I could talk my way out of it, but it'd just be a waste of time. All right, Coach. Let's get going. Oh, are you two going somewhere together? Yes. We're on our way to get some stuff for the team. We have to drop by a few places, so will you excuse us? Irie bowed. I followed suit. I had to admire how good he was at lying. He's a grown-up after all. Oishi seemed to know it was a lie, but he didn't have a warrant, so he couldn't stop us. I moved to get into Irie's car. How are your wounds, Shion Sonozaki-san? I gasped when I heard that. My left hand was bandaged. It was unsightly, so I kept it in my pocket. There was no way Oishi could have been able to see it. I don't like that. They'll heal with no problems if they don't get infected. I tore my fingernails off a couple of times, except when I was a kid. But look, they look beautiful now, don't they? How the... Ow. Man's fingernails shouldn't look beautiful. That gives me the creeps. That's sexist. Shame on you. Shame! Oishi scratched his head and chuckled. He's supposed to be one of the best cops at the Okonomiya PD, and he knows about all the underground activities in the region. He must have heard about my payment from somewhere. Still, that happened in the secret basement of the Sonozaki main house. I couldn't understand this guy's sources. Thank you for your kind words. We'll be going now. Excuse us. Shion Sonozaki. Why don't we get coffee together sometime? What? You hitting on me? If you like. Don't worry, I'm on it.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC.
Yep, already getting a lot of use out of that one. Shouldn't be surprised with this. Sorry. Time flies. I can't waste any of that precious time on things that don't interest me. You got me there. How about this then? You can leave any time if you get bored of talking to me. I won't stop you. How does that sound? I don't mind you talking, but I won't talk back. I doubt you could call it a conversation. Yes, that'd be fine. You can just listen, and I'll talk. You can just listen to an old man ramble while sipping on a cup of coffee. He was being strangely persistent. It didn't look like he was trying to poke a hole in my statement. What would he even talk about? I got a bit curious even though I was still skeptical. Coach, I think I'll go with the old man instead. I mean Shion-san. I winked at it and told him not to worry. Irie didn't insist. He got in his car and drove off. He backed his car up so I could get in. I hopped in the back seat since I didn't want to sit next to him. Are we really going to a cafe? You can direct me to one with no connection to your family, that'd be great. Why don't you just take me to the station then? Oishi carefully checked for oncoming traffic and then started driving. Oishi took me to the police station as I thought he might. He had to take me to a nice cafe, he would have scored some points. But whatever. I thought it'd be more convenient if we came here. Still go home if you get bored. Try your best not to bore me then. You want me to go into the station hand in hand with you? She chuckled and got out of the car. He escorted me inside the station. I thought he'd take me to an interrogation room, but instead, he took me to an office of the investigation division. Officers in both suits and uniforms working at their desks, answering phones. There was a desk with a plate that said, Section Manager, and nearby there were couches and a table. Oishi told me to sit on the couch and started making some instant coffee. Instant. Throw it at him. Just throw it at him. Or like take a sip and then do the spit take, then throw it at him. Like, how dare you? Taking a young lady, and then you do not even give her coffee. And then give her instant coffee. What is wrong with you, sir? What is wrong? I had never been to this part of the police station. I looked around in curiosity. You'd think I'd take you to an interrogation room. She brought over a tray with coffee cups on it. You're treating me better than I expected. I thought you'd whip me or something. My tastes don't run that way. Ha 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 ha. So, I thought you wanted to talk. Alright, I'll cut to the chase. You in love with Satoshi Hojo-san. What? Getting boring already, I'm going home. Haha. Okay, please forget that. He must have known why I had to remove my fingernails. He wasn't trying to confirm that I like Satoshi-kun. What he was really saying was that he knew already. I already talked to Detective Kumagai about Satoshi-kun's alibi that day. Of course, I read Kumagai-kun's report. I know you were with him. I'll just repeat the same statement no matter how many times you ask. Don't think you can poke holes in it. Oh no, that's not what I want. You're a smart person. I know that it wouldn't work for you. I wonder what you're after. Wasting your time if you want information on Satoshi-kun. There's nothing more to talk about. This is boring me after all. Going home. That was our agreement. Excuse me. I got up off the couch. Shion-san, I did want to get Satoshi-san's alibi from you. I admit it. That's it then. Boring. I'm going home. I turned around and started walking. At least she didn't get anxious, but instead spoke a little louder. But Shion-san, I want to ask you about is his alibi for yesterday, not the day of the murder. His alibi for yesterday? Why? What does that have to do with his aunt's death? It's because Satoshi-kun has been missing since then. What? Did you know he went missing? I didn't say anything, but my expression answered Oishi's question anyway. What's going on? Missing? What? Why don't you take a seat? You're not Chris Hitz. Take a seat. Why don't you take a seat? What do you mean Satoshi-kun has gone missing? What the hell? You only know one thing for sure. He withdrew all of his savings at an ATM in the Okonomiya post office before 3 p.m. yesterday. We don't know his whereabouts after that. Knew why he withdrew that money. He wanted to buy Satoko's birthday present. Yes, he definitely bought that teddy bear yesterday. It's just my guess. I think he skipped town with that money. And he used the money to run away? It's stupid. He was saving to buy Satoko a birthday present. Bought a big expensive teddy bear from that toy store. He never used that money to skip town. Yes, the most expensive teddy bear in that toy store was sold. We can't confirm that it was Satoshi-kun who bought it. Why don't you ask the clerk? Satoshi-kun and I reserved that teddy bear together. Oh. I had a bad feeling. That old man who was watching that store was sleeping when we were there. He'd look very senile. He was also watching that store on that day, and even though Satoshi-kun bought the teddy bear, he didn't remember. Oishi put on a wry smile. Looked like he'd already tried to question that old man. Anyway, it's Satoshi-kun who bought that teddy bear. He must have saved just enough to buy it. So he shouldn't have been able to run away after. That's nonsense. Alright, say he really did buy the teddy bear. Why didn't he come home with it? At that point, I felt as though my heart had turned to ice. Satoshi-kun had been working hard to buy that teddy bear even though he was under extreme mental and physical stress. After all that, he finally managed to buy it. It's unthinkable that somebody else just showed up and bought the same teddy bear. The teddy bear was gone because Satoshi-kun bought it. Nobody else. But if so, Satoshi should have given it to Satoko. But when we bought a present for her, he didn't come home. That wasn't possible. She got straight home with that teddy bear. Wouldn't think of running away after buying the teddy bear. Even though Satoshi-kun wanted to run away from the police, he'd never leave without giving Satoko her present. Anyway, it must have been Satoshi who bought that teddy bear. I can say that with 100% certainty. The question was, why didn't he bring it home? That teddy bear was huge. It wouldn't fit into the basket of a bicycle. He might have brought some straps to tie it to his back. He wouldn't have thought of running away on a wobbly bicycle like that. He necessarily had to go home after buying the teddy bear from the store after withdrawing the money. Nothing could have happened when he was going between the ATM and the toy store. It's impossible. Nobody else could have possibly bought that teddy bear. Never. That teddy bear had been sitting in the showcase up until that day. Everybody else could see it when they passed by. Nobody wanted it. It's impossible that it could have been somebody else. There should be no question that he went to the toy store after he withdrew the money. But about the route between the toy store and his home, there shouldn't be any question there either. He shouldn't have been able to do anything with that huge toy. He shouldn't have even have thought of making a stop on the way. So he must have headed home right after he bought the teddy bear. Nobody saw him after that. It was simple then. Toshi-kun went missing on his way home from the toy store. Went missing? That mean? I was sure he killed his aunt. He's not that shrewd. Maybe he couldn't bear the pressure from the police? Resigned to the idea that the police were going to arrest him soon regardless of my help. Did he decide to run away? Did he think that he should disappear until things cooled down rather than get arrested? That was definitely absolutely impossible. It's impossible that he came to that conclusion on his way from the toy store. Even if he did, he would have waited until he gave Satoko her birthday present. Satoshi-kun loves Satoko. He shouldn't have spoiled her like that, but anyway, he always tried to be a good brother to her. So he never disappeared before going home. I felt as though the ice was cutting through my heart, expanding the frost. As Satoshi-kun did disappear by his own free will, the answer was simple. Satoshi-kun disappeared by somebody else's will. Satoshi-kun eliminated? It's really stupid, old man. I thought I could shake off the frost in my heart if I laughed loudly enough. I kept laughing until it happened. I kept laughing. All the cops in the room stared at me. They thought I'd gone crazy. I didn't care what they thought. Kept laughing until it turned into a cough. I finished laughing and took a sip of the lukewarm coffee. I felt as though the frost in my heart had spread all through my guts. I was chilled to the bone. My fingers shook as I held the coffee cup. Jun-san, please listen to me without interrupting. What I'm about to tell you is only a hypothesis. It's all just a theory. A game theory. Ahem. Like that you. Anyway. Just personally, okay? That up. Anyway, I start laughing in the middle because it may sound ridiculous, but I want you to hear me out. Can you do that? Whatever, just talk. I was feeling far too cold. My teeth were chattering. I felt as though my brain had frozen as well. Lost my ability to think. I couldn't do anything about myself. I could only do as Oishi told me. He was going to tell me it might be the worst possible theory. But I had to listen to it. I know that Satoshi-kun's and Satoko-san's aunt was abusing them. Especially Satoko-san. My opinion, it's normal that Satoshi started thinking about murdering his aunt. Because he was just a human being. I had to deny Satoshi-kun murdered her. What Oishi was saying was true. I couldn't deny his hypothesis right away, I just kept silent. This is only a hypothesis, alright? Please don't be upset. And no interruptions. Agreed? I know. Go on. Satoshi Haojo planned the murder of his aunt and executed. We have no proof, okay? It's all theoretical. Alright. I heard. Let's keep talking. I'll switch the subject now. Hyun-san, you were forbidden from having a relationship with Satoshi, weren't you? They told you to stay away from him, correct? I believe the reason behind that is not that your family hated the Haojos, but that they didn't like the fact that you were involved with the murder suspect. That is really possible. After all, when I was pretending to be Mion, I already had a connection with Satoshi. Before anyone knew it was Shion who was spending time around him. I could have been accused when I was helping out the Hinamizawa fires if the relationship between the Haojos and the Sonozakis was the problem. Wouldn't it be difficult for the Sonozaki family to know that Satoshi murdered his aunt if it happened in Hinamizawa? Maybe one of them even saw the murder. The Sonozaki family didn't like that I was in love with the murderer. They decided to step in. Also, you're known not to give up easily, aren't you? Which means even if the Sonozaki family threatened you or ripped off your nails, you still wouldn't cut ties with Satoshi, would you? I couldn't deny that. I lost most of my means to access Hinamizawa, so my ties to Satoshi were essentially cut, true. But I still knew Satoshi's phone number, and I expected him to rejoin the Hinamizawa fighters eventually. I believe your family knew that a few threats would never be enough for you to break ties with Satoshi. They could threaten you all they liked to no avail. Their only option would be to do something about the other person, wouldn't it? What do you mean, do something? What would they do? What? Threatening me was useless then. They do something about Satoshi. They have done. They pulled something, then wouldn't that interrupt his path from the toy store to home? That interrupt his path from the toy store to home? Toy store to home. Toy store to home. What's X? What is X? X marks the spot where his path was interrupted. But what interrupted it? What couldn't Satoshi could make it home from the toy store if something interrupted him? Why? What's X? X. I ran out of air, became dizzy, and then collapsed. The floor felt cold. I felt no pain. I had fallen to the floor like a plastic doll. Oishi and some others rushed over to me and helped me up. Calm down, Shion-san. We're not certain that Satoshi was killed yet. Not certain he was killed? Fuck are you talking about? You know about that torture room? Where they forced me to rip off my fingernails? Don't you know that they say there are prison cells and a well for disposing of corpses in the back? The Sonozaki family wants to eliminate somebody. They definitely kill him in that torture room and dump the body down there. You're not certain. You dumb. Is your brain made of tofu? If I were in the hag's position, I'd kill him for sure. I wouldn't let him get away. If I would kill him, then the hag would definitely kill him. Shion-san, please calm down. This is unconfirmed, but I have information that somebody witnessed a young runaway male at Nagoya Station, who took a train from there to Tokyo. Clothes didn't match, but it is possible he changed what he was wearing to hide from the police. Still possible that it was him. Is he alive? Is he... This is also a theory, but let me go on. Your twin sister, Mion-san. The closest person to Aryo's Sonozaki, correct? I'm assuming that Mion stops Aryo when he suggested murdering Satoshi furtively. Mion? It's possible. He could have tried to calm things down out of pity for me. Idiot was always so indecisive. She should have been clear on if she wanted to save him or not. But she probably seemed vague about that. She must have persuaded the hag to reduce the punishment to banishment instead of death, just to avoid feeling guilty. I believe that the Sonozaki family contacted Satoshi. They probably told him that they could cover up the murder and told him to disappear somewhere far away. They forced him to be more accurate. Satoshi would have rejected that, would never leave Satoko behind. I agree with you, but Satoshi was working at the places Mion referred him to, wasn't he? The family knew that he had enough money for a getaway. But he never used it for anything other than buying that teddy bear. Alright. Must have gone straight to the toy store after he withdrew the money. But if the teddy bear was already sold when he got there? That would have been a very desolate situation. He'd been working hard. While his aunt abused him, he worked at many different jobs. The money was worth all that pain. He went to the toy store with that money in order to buy his beloved sister a present. That was the only purpose for that money. Must have looked for the teddy bear as he'd always done. It was gone. He wouldn't have gone into a panic right away. Because he's always so optimistic. Might have thought the store was wrapping the gift for him because he told them he'd pick it up that day. Must have gone into the store joyously. I couldn't guess at what exactly happened yet. My heart would tear up if I tried to imagine it anyway. I didn't think have it, even though he had it reserved. That old man understand the situation, or was he just zoning out? Maybe it would have been the same even if it wasn't the old man who was at the store that time. A bunch of fierce-looking subordinates from the Sonozaki family went in and showed them the money. Nobody could have rejected it. Satoshi must have sunk into silence. No matter how hard he complained, the teddy bear was gone. He probably never even considered that his dream might be taken away. He must have been wobbling his way home in sorrow, leaning on the telephone poles every now and then. It was the day he wanted Satoko to be happy the most. He couldn't get the present she wanted the most. Probably didn't think of getting another gift, because it was unimaginable that he couldn't get that teddy bear. Might have imagined how Satoko would react when she found out he had no present for her. Must have looked unbelievably sad and empty. The money he'd been saving meant nothing anymore. Satoshi cried. Satoshi never cried even at his toughest moments. Did he even know how to cry? It was always Satoko who was crying. Satoshi never learned how to cry and he grew up that way. You know, people shed sadness from their hearts with tears. Satoshi wasn't even allowed to do that. Even though his heart was filled with sorrow, he couldn't let it out. You insisted he wouldn't leave Satoko behind, didn't you? But think, what if the Sonozaki family told him that they'd look after her after his disappearance? After Satoshi-kun found that, the teddy bear was gone. All he had left was some crumpled bills. Family told him it was just a matter of time before the police got to him. They told him to run away. They said they'd take care of Satoko. Toshi didn't feel like seeing his sister. He wandered and found himself at Okonomiya Station. Must have been apologizing to Satoko so many times in his mind. He swore to come back someday. He headed to Nagoya, and then to Tokyo. That meant he's alive. Alive. Should be able to see him again someday. He must be coming back, so I'll definitely see him again. I assume that the Sonozaki family set up some place for him to stay. Satoshi must have gone there. So he's safe? Coming back someday, right? She looked up at the ceiling and stretched. He didn't answer me. On June 24th, 1982, Satoshi Haujo went missing. There is a possibility that he ran away, as he was the prime suspect of the murder that happened on the 20th of the same month. Allegedly, someone resembling him was seen at Nagoya Station embarking on a train heading to Tokyo, but the truth is unknown. No one has seen him since. As a matter of fact, no one even knows if he's still alive, I think. I don't think I hit a button. Just, okay. Mind your bug. Ah, yes. Read the notebooks. The information that Satoshi might have headed to Tokyo hasn't been verified. It started as follows. The young man came to Lost and Found window looking for his wallet. The station employee asked him to write down his name on the form. Then the young man started writing Haojo as his name, but he stopped in the middle, crumpled the form, and wrote a totally different name on another form. Another station employee witnessed a similar-looking young man rushing into the train heading to Tokyo. The employee from the Lost and Found and the employee who was on the platform talked about the suspicious young man at the locker room. That was all. The wallet of the man named Haojo was never reported as found to Lost and Found office. At first, I thought Oishi's theory that the Sonozaki family banished Satoshi from Hinamizawa and looked after Satoko in return. Bogus. Thinking about it now, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. After all, Satoko started living with Rika Furude after Satoshi's disappearance. Rika Furude isn't just a regular girl. She was the head of the Furude family, one of the three families. The head of the Kimiyoshi family is Rika Furude's guardian. The Sonozaki family couldn't step in due to having been officially opposed to the Haojo family, but Satoko is in the custody of the three families now. Even though the Haojo family was severely ostracized during the dam conflict, Satoko was now under protection. It seems as though only Satoko was exempted from blame. Why she was spared even though Satoshi wasn't. Hello, chicken. Thank you for coming by. Let's see. My voice is getting a bit dry, and we are 45 minutes. Okay. I think we'll call it then. Wait, that?